Whatever you want.
We got, Alderman Rainey's not ready. He's still on vacation.
Oh, someone did sign up. Okay.
Hi, I haven't looked at the agenda yet for Wednesday. Okay. That one's always good.
Alderman Rainey, you ready yet?
Yeah, I'm all ready.
Okay.
I've been waiting for you. For at least 30 seconds.
At least 30 seconds. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
We're going to get started. This is the committee meeting of the Administrations and Public Works Committee. We have a quorum. And could we get a motion for approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 10th?
Motion to approve?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, items for consideration. First is A1, City of Evanston's payroll through 1/16/11, $2,558,341.75.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? City of Evanston's bills through 1/25/11, $1,112,337.12. Could we get?
Second.
Okay. I know that we have the bills. Questions on the bills list. They were emailed, but they're also hard copies at your desk. If you'd like to take a minute to look at those. And any questions before we vote? Alderman Rainey.
Dolores. Alderman Holmes. On the front page of the bills list, answers and questions, is this Everbridge Smart GSI Aware setup, $18,500. The explanation, I'm assuming, is like the reverse 911 we've been talking about. Is that what that is?
Mr. McRae is coming.
Joe McRae, Assistant to the City Manager. Yes, you are correct. That's the reverse 911 system.
Could I'm sure other people have had an experience with this, but I had not. I was away on vacation in a community that has this. About 9 o'clock one morning, more police and sheriff's vehicles went flying down the street than I'd ever seen in Evanston, going to one thing, and this town is half the size. Within about 20 minutes, we got a phone call saying what the incident was, just a blanket phone call. Then we got 3 more phone calls throughout the day updating us on the status. And I just thought, just knowing what was going on was just so helpful. And if we use it like that, I think people in our community will feel very comforted. I mean, it's not only for telling you, get out of town, there's a hurricane coming, but just to keep you updated on like helicopters. Like one of the calls from the police department was, we know you're aware of helicopters in the sky. Those are the news helicopters. One is the FBI. It was a bank robbery. And so, it was just so helpful.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're implementing, and the use policy is exactly what we're going to be talking about on the 31st.
Excellent.
How we'll use
Okay.
it, so.
All right, I'm so glad. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or concerns with the response to the bills list? Marie, you-
Move approval?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving along. A 3.1, approval of a one-year extension to RFP 1070, 10-70 Auto Body and Collision Repair Services. The staff recommends approval of a one-year contract extension to Sigler Auto Body in the amount of $56,000 from January 1, 11 through December 31st, 11, to provide products, service, and repairs for both emergency and non-emergency vehicles. The funding is provided by account 7710.65060, materials to maintain autos, with a budget of $910,000. These estimated expenditures in the amount of $56,000 requested is 6.1% of this budget.
Move approval?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
A 3.2, approval of a one-year contract extension for RFP 10-76, emergency lighting and after-market equipment. This is, the staff recommends approval for the removal and, for the installation, removal, and repair of law enforcement and emergency fire response vehicles and equipment to Havy Communications in the amount of $62,000 from January 28th, 11 through December 31st, 11 for lighting, sirens, communication, computer systems, and various aftermarket products. This funding is also provided through 7710.65060 from the materials to maintain autos, with a budget of $910,000, with $62,000 being 6.8% of the budget.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 8.33, this is the approval of a one-year renewal of elevator service agreements with ThyssenKrupp Elevator Corp. For the Sherman Plaza Self Park, for the amount of $35,427.60. The proposed one-year service is effective January 1, 2011 to December 31st, 2011. This agreement provides for less than a 3% annual increase from last year's fee. Funding is provided by the 211 Parking Fund, account 7036.62425, with a budget of $40,000.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A 3.4, approval of renewal of service, elevator service agreement with Otis Elevator Corp. For the Civic Center, Service Center, Maple Avenue, and Church Street Self Park. This is a one-year, for a one-year term at the cost of $65,400 $435.15, effective January 1, 2011 to December 31st, 2011. The agreement provides for a 3% annual increase from last year's fee, and funding is provided by various budget sources.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? A 3.5, approval of extending the term of the current auditors, Baker Tilly Rashard Kraus, LLP, for 1 year. The auditors have agreed to perform the funding year 2010 to 11 audit for $79,500, which is the same fee as funding year 2009 and 2010 audit. Funding of $100,000 is budget in the general fund.
Move approval.
Second.
All in
I have
favor?
a question.
Any questions? Okay, Alderman Jean-Baptiste.
Marty, when you were trying to determine to go with Virtue Kraus, what were some of the, how did you compare them with others who came forth who were available?
Certainly. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Marty Lyons, Treasurer. When we looked at this, there were several extenuating factors going into the fiscal year 11. Not so much 10-11 is what will we be doing from March 1st coming up until December 31st, when we'd be doing all of the audit work. And one of our largest things that we will be involved with is hopefully software conversion. We'll be bringing something forward to the council to update financials. And that's mentioned in the memorandum. And in so doing, then we would like to finish out with old software. Virchow Kraus has done a very good job for us over the last 4 years. They have rotated their staff, which I think is significant. If you're going to look at a government finance officer's best practice, you would see that they would say that periodically you should change your auditor so there is no concern over a conflict of interest, and your auditor's staff should change. In this case, we showed that there is significant turnover in the staff, wherein the people that our accounting staff deal with on an annual basis are different each year. The auditors are testing different things, and when they said they would match the price, and given the escalation we saw in just a few that we did check, we thought we would be looking at a higher number by going back out again rather than going for an extension. So that's the main thrust of why we are recommending an extension of just the 1 year.
Okay, and so the expectation is that a year from now, you would put this out to
Definitely.
bid? Okay. Okay, so when you said that you wanted to finish out with this old software, so no other auditors are using the software that we are currently using?
No, it's not so much that. It's our internal software. So if we look to, right now, staff is going through and analyzing our J.D. Edwards software, which is now about to hit 10 years of age with nearly no upgrades for the entire period of that ownership. The changes in governmental accounting software, I hate to be disparaging, but it's almost up to the rest of what I'd call private sector software. What we're looking at is a system that is tied into all of our email systems, that is much more web-based as far as being able to have access wherever we need it. We think it'll be a lot more friendly at the council level. Some of the things that we do now, our bills lists or other forms of communication, we'd integrate a lot more into our normal forms of communications. All of our email, I'm not going to say that we could integrate any of the software into some of the social networks, but the whole goal is to make things a lot more efficient in administration. And we felt that it would be easier to finish off with the current auditors who are familiar with the J.D. Edwards software system, and then we start with a new auditor and a new software system in the next year.
If necessary.
Well, and I'm sorry, I should say.
Virtual Cross may win the contract again.
I do need to, I'm sorry, one of the things I should be very clear is that during this year, we'll still be using the old software, so we will be having a transition year. I do not want to lead anyone to believe that we would be totally onto our new system and the new auditors wouldn't have to deal with anything on our old system. There's the potential for that. But I think that basically we're looking at trying to save anywhere from $0 to $20,000 because we budgeted $100,000, realizing if we brought in a new auditor based on what we saw, all of the quotes being 4 years ago, Virchow Krause was substantially lower than the other auditors. And then when we look at, I believe, which one is it, Hitesh, that went up? Just looking at the Naperville, that theirs was going up at about 3 or 4% a year. Well, we'd rather take a 0 for another year than go forward.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I'm fine.
Any other questions? All,
Yes. Been moving.
all, it's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A4, approval of change order number 3 and change order number 4 to the 209 water main sewer and street improvement contract. Staff recommends approval of these change orders to the water main sewer and street improvement contract with Vine Construction Corporation in the amount of both change orders is a decrease to the contract amount of $203,861.72 from $1,823,502.40 to $1,619,640.68. Funding for change order number 3 and number 4 will be provided by the Water Fund.
Move approval.
Second.
We have questions. I'm sorry, Alderman Rainey.
I always thrilled when we have a change order that includes a reduction, but I don't quite understand the reduction, and so I'd like to know, get a better explanation.
Good evening, Dave Stoneback, Director of Utilities. There are 2 change orders. Change order number 3 is actually an increase in cost for 3 unknown conditions that were encountered.
I understand those.
And then change order 4, if you look at the last 3 pages of this memo, which is actually a change order form, we're listing all 104 plus some new pay items on there. And if for instance, pay item number 1, tree protection, there were 14 locations where tree protection was added, and so 14 times the unit price gives you the additional cost. And the second item, 563 feet less than the estimated quantity was actually root pruned, which gives you the credit of $1,379. So when you...
But what was the total reduction?
The total reduction of
Bring
this
that up
change
here.
order
Yeah,
is $211,587.04.
that's the part I don't get. How did we overestimate to that extent? That's where I'm having trouble understanding.
You prepare plans, you take a quantity takeoff based on the actual plans. You assume you're going to have to do root pruning at a location where maybe a tree got removed and you don't have to do the root pruning. One of the largest ones that occurred was a change in the type of road surface material that was used to restore the street, where we do a core sample at one location and we assume that it's a concrete-based street with a asphalt surface on it. as you actually wind up excavating the entire block, you find out that some of it is an asphalt base rather than a concrete base. So you replace what's actually existing rather than what the plans call for. So you increase this quantity and you decrease the other quantity. But again, it's always an estimated quantity that you start with. I don't know how.
I know. I just, being an amateur at this, it seems that that's pretty far off. I know that the engineer's estimate and the bids are generally not in sync. I mean, there's usually some difference in those numbers. But after the engineer's estimate, and I don't have the original document, so I don't know, did the was there any, it was the engineer's estimate that the bids were, I'm going to accept your explanation because I have no other choice, but it seems to me that when you're talking about $200,000 in a bid project, maybe there's something that we could do to be more realistic in our estimates. I don't know.
And I feel that probably could be done if you spent more money on the actual design up front. Again, this was a water main project, so I'm looking at pay items 42, 43, 44, and 45, which are actually the water main items. So yes, 101 feet less of 6-inch ductile iron pipe was installed than what was proposed, but the quantity of 8-inch and was exactly right on. The quantity of 12-inch was 0.3 feet less, and the quantity of 8-inch directionally drilled was 9 feet less. So the major pay items that we look at are relatively close, but again, there's 140 different pay items, and I don't think the engineer spends as much time trying to pinpoint exactly the exact quantity. They make it an estimated quantity, and
Okay.
they go from there.
I hear you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. A5, excuse me, resolution 5-R-11, by which the city would authorize the use of motor fuel tax funds for roadway construction and related engineering service. The Evanston Department of Public Works recommends City Council approval of this resolution 5-R-11, authorizing the use of motor fuel tax funds in the amount of $1 million for 2011. The MFT Street resurfacing project and $110,606 for design and construction engineering services by city staff. Total MFT funding authorization request is $1,110,606. This project will be funded through the Motor Fuel Tax Fund.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. A6, ordinance 12-0-11, decreasing the number of License B liquor license due to a change in ownership of Pete Miller Steakhouse. The local liquor commissioner recommends passage of ordinance 12-0-11, amending section 3-5-6B of the city code to decrease the number of Class B liquor license from 16 to 15 due to a change in ownership of Pete Miller Steakhouse.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A7, Ordinance 13-0-11, increase the number of Class B liquor licenses to permit issuance of to Pete Miller Steakhouse. The local liquor commissioner recommends passage of ordinance 13-0-11, amending section 3-5-6B of the city code to increase the number of Class B liquor licenses from 15 to 16 to permit issuance to Pete Miller's Steakhouse, Evanston LLC, owner of Pete Miller's Steakhouse, 1572 Sherman Avenue.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We had just one person to sign up, but that was only for questions. Mr. Sin, where are you? Is that just for questions? Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Can I ask him a question?
Yes.
Are there going to be any changes at Pete Miller's?
Nothing scheduled for the immediate. We love Pete Miller's. We're going to keep it as is.
Okay. Okay, we have no items for discussion, no communication. Move for adjournment.
Second.
Okay.
Dolores, I'm liking how you run the meetings.
Oh,
You missed Blue left.